I can't tell you how many times. Okay, so this new camera, when you press record, it shows a little red light.
Okay.
I can't tell you. Like it happened to me on maybe my first wedding that I did, where I pressed. It was the father of the bride did a speech, and I
Uh-huh.
was like, "Oh, what a great speech!" And then I pressed record to stop it, and then it turned on, like it just started recording, and I was like, "Fuck, I missed the whole thing." And if without the light, or because now when I see it from behind, the whole thing turns red, and so I'm able to see. Like you can't not see now.
Okay.
Helps big time. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. This is Knives and Claire. Claire, how you doing?
Good, good. Busy.
Happy to hear that. Yeah, very busy. This is week 1 of 2021, and it's already unprecedented. I don't want to get into the politics and the media stuff, and I'll be honest, I got off Twitter months ago, like I think in September,
Oh, yeah.
and how good that has been on my mental health is insane. People go on drugs so they can feel marginally better. I feel 40% better. Like I'm not being constantly bombarded with information that I don't care about people that I don't care about, and who either don't know that I exist or don't care about me. So it's just been a big weight lifted. And so needless to say, like I wouldn't have, unless I went to twitter.com, I wouldn't have known what was going on yesterday. So,
Right.
Which was just madness. But other than that, how has 2021 been for you so far?
It's been different. Decided that I'm gonna stay busy. So, gonna keep doing art, I think. So I started doing a couple days ago, since the last time we talked, just had this podcast. I put it out there that I felt like I put it out there for myself, but I said it out loud, I wish I could paint like this. And I was like, now I felt like an obligation to do it since I said it. And so I started painting every day. I signed up for a Patreon, which has a couple of tutorials. And so I started doing that. And so I've been trying to keep focused on that.
You signed up. You're a patron.
No, yes.
You signed up to pay for somebody's Patreon.
Yes.
Wow, I have never done that.
No, it's super helpful if you want. I mean, I would suggest, like, if you find somebody that stuff you like,
Yeah.
and they have a Patreon, sign up for it. There's so much like useful information. Well, at least in this person's Patreon, she's got tutorials, videos, and like I really love her artwork. So
what's her name?
Her name is Ellie Smallwood. And if you look at her I think that's her Instagram handle. If you look at her Instagram, you'll see like the similarities in the paintings that I'm doing and that I started doing and her stuff. And she's kind of like, that's kind of the level that I aspire to be. But she's been doing art full time for a decade now, I think. Pretty tough. I'll say that. I guess it's tough for everybody.
Yeah. It's crazy. Something that I've tapped into this year that I'm trying really, really hard to protect. It's like there's a few things in my life where I have habitualized and turned into rituals, certain things that mean a lot to me. Playing with my kids, quality time with you, which means stopping what I'm doing and being with you guys, being engaged, is very important to me. For about 10, 12 years now, I will take 1 hour out of my day and walk outside and just breathe, get my heart pumping, and I start going through all my thoughts, and it's my form of meditation. That is time for me that I have protected. The next thing that is on my list to guard with every fabric of my being is daily low effort content. Whether if it's on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, TikTok, I want to continue to protect that, and I've already seen results. It's like going to the gym 10 days in a row. This is, I believe, the 10th day in a row of trying to stay consistent.
Yeah.
And I'm going to protect that, and who knows where that can go. You never know what happens if you don't stop, but you know what happens if you do stop.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just keep going. Just keep going is going to be my motto for this year.
Right. And I think what's important is the low effort part, because I think sometimes as creators we want to bang out like an amazing piece every time, and they all can't be winners, right? But I think even if it's low effort, even if it's just a little bit, just a line, just a sketch a day, I think that should be enough. I think that should be enough. And I think people know their limits. I think they know that how much, what's low effort, what isn't. Like I could be doing like a typical drawing takes me like 8 hours. Something I unrealistically I can't. I mean, I can't plan that right now. So if I do like these not so great paintings for an hour a day, I think that still like feeds that creativity, but I'm also getting better at it. There's a lot of benefits to it, you know.
Oh yeah.
As opposed to scheduling 8 hours on a Saturday. That takes time away from a lot of things.
And what happens if life gets in the way and you can't commit to that Saturday? Well, then you feel bad. You start beating yourself up, and then 2 Saturdays in a row go by, and you're like, ugh, I'm just gonna have to shelf this whole idea. And then 6 months go by, and then you say, why did I stop?
Never happened.
What happened? Yeah, that to me frightens me. I don't know why. I woke up because I had a very strange dream last night. Very strange dream. And I woke up and I wrote it down in my notebook, and I said, what if basically regret motivates me? Like, I don't want to regret this thing, so I'm going to do it. If I don't care about it enough to regret not doing it, I don't care about it. And for 2020 during the pandemic, I was just quiet for 9 months. Like I just got off the grid essentially for 9 months, and I don't regret that, but I would regret if I let 9 months of this year pass me by. Like I put in the time of listening, of getting off the grid, of just getting away from my own creativity in a way too, because there was more important things, with our kids going to school, with what was going on in the world, the social unrest, everything.
Right.
I needed to give that attention. I needed to listen. And I did that. And so I hate it when someone messages me, even if they love me and they're close, and they say, dude, are you done? Are you okay? Why'd you stop making podcasts? Are you done making podcasts? And it's like, no, it's not that. You just have to trust that sometimes you need to go away to come back. That's part of it too. And so for anybody listening, there's no shame in walking away from what you love and your passion just to recharge your batteries, to go in a little cocoon and then emerge and come out transformed. I know that sounds super flowery, but that's been part of the process. Oh, which reminds me, speaking of part of the process, we got a question from our last podcast, and I'd be remiss if I didn't answer it, but also repeat it verbatim. So a friend of the show who's also been on Knives Monroe versus the podcast before, one of my heroes, prolific guitarist himself, Adam Guillen, asks, I love when you guys are on video together. It's always great. He's like, here's my question. Do you feel it's easier to understand each other's time, patience, and emotion that goes into the process of creating, being two creatives yourselves? So is it easier to understand the time required, the patience, and the emotion that goes into the process of creating, since we're both ourselves creatives? I'll let you tackle that one first.
Okay. So being a creative already definitely helped, because I think you have a very
speak free. There's no egos here.
You have a very, like, I don't know what the word is. So let me go back a little bit. So first of all, our processes are different, right? The way I do things and the way you do things, and by that I mean like our mentality when we're in the zone, our physical space, the surroundings, the time, very different processes. So we don't work in the same room. But I think over the years I've learned your process, and I've had to like respect it. So in the beginning when we got together, I think 2014, you were writing, I'm going to pull the knives here and go like
2013.
In the past. 2013, you're writing The Seven Hands of God.
Oh, that was 2014. Yeah.
2014. And your writing process, you become very manic. Like, maybe Dave can agree with this if he ever sees this, right? You become manic. You become very intense. It's like, walking on eggshells around you, right? And it's not, and I felt like I had to just take it, whatever you threw at me. And it was sort of like, and by that I mean like, if you were writing for a couple of hours, you had to be left alone to write, and that's fine, right? Go do your thing. But through all that whole time until you were done, you were very intense. and manic, and you were just like over the top, like loud and crazy, and I couldn't really tell you anything without you just blowing up at me, and I kind of just had to take it, right? Because that's what I do, and that was just, I knew that it wasn't forever, and it was part of the writing. And in the beginning, when you were writing, and we are still talking before Fiona, you wrote it before Fiona, right?
So now you're thinking about when I wrote Morosa.
Okay, that one.
In 3 weeks.
That one.
Yeah.
That one you did. We weren't like living together or anything, I don't think.
Mm-mm.
And so we were together, but you would just like disappear for the day, and at the beginning of the relationship, it's like, is he ghosting me? Like, what's his deal? Is he talking to somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
And then you came back with a script, and I was like, okay, so here's proof that he wasn't like with somebody else. He was in his room by himself, right? Or whatever. And so that kind of like took a while for me to get used to, as far as how you write, and that you need to be gone for a while. And then you filmed Seven Hands of God, and that was interesting to see. And so I knew, then I started learning how you work,
mm-hmm.
and what you need. And I wanted to add too, like, I feel like you've found your space here.
Here at the house?
Yes.
Keep going, please.
I feel like you've found your space, and you've really like made it your own.
Mm-hmm.
Because back in the day, we were living in a 2-bedroom apartment.
What year? 2-bedroom, the Donna one?
So we lived in Donna for 2 years, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
2 years, lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. So we shared a room with Fiona, and Aiden had his own room.
Fiona slept in our bed till she was 4 or 5?
No.
Mm-hmm. At the apartment in Donna, we're busy. At the apartment in Donna, she was sleeping on our bed.
Okay.
I'm sorry, in Austin, she was sleeping on our bed.
Yeah. So we had the apartment in Donna, and we shared a room with Fiona, and that was difficult. We didn't have, to go back to like the question, there was no place for us to work.
Yeah, no space. You need space.
So I want to say physical space is super important, no matter what. If you're writing, if you're an actor, if you're a filmmaker, if you're creating content in any way, I think it's super important.
Could you imagine playing the saxophone or playing the drums, or needing to be like Adam Moya and scream really, really loud to like the space that you need, the privacy? Like it's a lot to ask, and you kind of have to have that space. It's hard. No,
yeah. And so in that situation was difficult. Then we moved to Austin, and it was still another difficult 2 years, because I started drawing a little bit, but I had to like move everything on the dining room table, remove everything, and then make sure I had that like hour to draw, but I needed it to be uninterrupted, and that just wasn't possible. And then you didn't have any space to work either. I mean, we were both working at our jobs, so we weren't working from home. So we'd go to our jobs every day, but you still didn't have that. I remember you saying like being so frustrated because you would work on the bed, but
Mm-hmm.
like that's just not. I mean, you can't do that forever.
Yeah, the amount of hemorrhoids I got from trying to edit on my bed, first world problem, but there was no space to do anything. Like we couldn't do this.
Right.
We tried it maybe once, but it was hard,
Oh yeah, we do have some like a video or two.
Yeah, it's out there.
But then it's like we had to record at like 10 p.m. Everyone's asleep.
I know.
All that.
It's hard.
So that was difficult. And
you know what? If I could, and I'm sorry for interrupting, but this is something I've said to a few friends and family, but I've never really put it out there before. When I decided to have kids and I made a conscious effort to start a family with you, I knew that I rather cut my fucking arm off. I was not going to sacrifice my dream.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds so grandiose and so delusional and nuts. And it kind of is.
Right.
But I wasn't going to sacrifice my passion, me as a filmmaker, that world, no matter how difficult it was going to be. I wasn't going to give it up. I mean, I just wasn't going to be the dad that sacrificed his dream to have kids and then be a broken husk of a human being, this shadow of my former self of like, oh, this Al Bundy, I woulda, coulda, shoulda kind of thing. I wasn't going to be that. And I think we've done more as creatives, joining forces and starting a family amidst all that conflict and all that, I'll call it resistance.
Yeah.
We've been more creative with that resistance than having the freedom to fuck off, with that time. So I just want to say, maybe to inspire or to give somebody hope who, first of all, if you're even contemplating, should I have kids? You probably shouldn't have kids, and that's okay. And that's cool. Like, enjoy yourself, spoil yourself, get a dog. But if you do have kids and you think, man, I don't have the time, you can if you're committed, and it might be more spread out. You won't be able to have the luxury of spending 6 hours alone to paint. You might not be able to have the luxury or time and space to be able to do this with your spouse in the living room or where what have you. But if you try your best and you stay the course, and if you protect that flame, hopefully you can position yourself in a with an opportunity or something to be able to maximize your space, even if it's small and little. One TikTok that I saw was, it's not about the setup, it's about the shot. If you saw the mess that was behind this camera, you guys would say, this is fucking insane, right? But the shot is composed and all that. And so, it took a lot for us to get here. I didn't want to interrupt. And you can pick up right where you left off. Our first apartment, we barely did anything, but guess what? We made a movie that Aiden starred in, that our son starred
in the apartment.
In the apartment.
I didn't have, obviously, we didn't have money, right? Like, for a movie. So that movie didn't cost me
We were
anything.
on food stamps.
True. We were on food stamps. And that money, that movie didn't cost me anything because I used everything that was around me.
You were in it.
I was in it. I used my friend David, I used his classroom. He was a teacher at the time. I used our bedroom, his bedroom, his clothes. So my old drawings.
RJ, of course.
Yeah, RJ.
Cultusor alumni. So, just using the resources that we had, we were resourceful.
Right. Yeah. And so that really, I maybe bought a shirt or something for Aiden. But that was pretty much it. Yeah, very difficult to.
This is like 2015, just for the listeners.
2015, yeah.
You might not be interested in this, but it has been
very long ride.
It's been a long ride. It has been a process. I mean, sometimes it's 3 steps back, 1 step forward. It's just what it is. But I think part of the reason why I personally, to answer Guillen's question shortly, sweetly. Part of the reason why I knew that you were the one, and I was able to nut in you and make a baby and start a family and inherit all the stress, work, effort, labor, anxieties, and the joy that comes with that. I knew, well, you're an artist, you're a writer. Mm-hmm. That's not going anywhere. I mean, I'd go in your room, your former roommate, your mom's house at the time, and I would say, this is in her. I saw it in Aiden. I was like, this is in him.
Yeah.
We can be this together. And I feel like together we are like an undefeatable tag team. Like I really do feel that way. And I think that's part of the magic sauce, if we have any, is definitely that. I try to give you a heads up to say, hey, I'm in writing mode right now. So
yes. So
good luck with that. But also I try to reciprocate that. And if you need time to do whatever, sculpt, paint, leave, go shop for some fabric or materials or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. I never look at the money that you spend personally, and I never question the time that you need. It's getting easier because our youngest is getting older.
Yes.
And she can appreciate. I heard her the other day while you were painting say, I'm sorry to bother you, mommy, but I'm sorry to bother you. Like, that's just so considerate, but she knows that too. So it's a family business.
Yeah. No, and I think over the years I did have to, at the beginning it was really hard, but over the years it just got easier in that, I know he needs his space. And you do go, and there were times where you'd go off a lot, or even like to do weddings. Mm-hmm. It's still work. I mean, so it's all work. To me, it's all work, right? And then on a relationship level, I know where you're at, so I don't really have, I trust you. There is a lot of trust.
There's a lot of trust.
Yeah.
That I have to ask, because I trust you. You've never let me down, but I definitely, I have to say that I have tested her patience and I've tested her trust. Like, she really just has to trust me.
Yeah.
Because I meet with all kinds of crazy people.
Yeah, and there's times where you like go meet with you're like, I gotta go meet with an actress, and I'm like,
It goes nowhere
okay.
90% of the time. But it's also, I've been with women who are like, delete every girl that is on your phone.
Right.
That kind of just
no and
ridiculousness that I knew right off the bat that you just weren't that type of person.
There was a time where we worked at Teletech, and I think there was this short period where you were working with Junior, Aiden's dad, at the same time in the Valley.
Yeah.
Before he left to Chicago, and I remember him texting me like, "Hey, I was just talking to another girl or whatever," and I was like,
"Is this the first time hearing this?"
No, I think I've told you this before, and I was like, she's not special. He talks to everybody. I was like, what's the big deal? He talks to everybody. He'll go and like meet an actress like at her house, or go meet so and so for coffee. And the first time you're kind of like, okay, you're gonna meet somebody. What's gonna happen? But then after like the 100th time, I'm just like, okay, go. I'll see you later. Whatever.
And after the 500th time, I mean, dude, the only thing that you have to worry about in terms of competing with my affection is the love that I have for an idea. That's it.
Okay.
Like, it's never going to be another person, like, and if a movie, an entire feature film hits me, man,
that's what I'm competing with.
I am
really.
gone. Like, dude, everybody around, like, the kids are gonna have to fight for playtime or whatever it is that they want from me. Like, I just become a slave to the idea.
Yeah,
but those are rare. I'll say those are pretty rare.
We've gotten pretty good at like asking each other, "What are you doing today?"
Also, Aiden's dad, what a little shit, trying to start shit. Fuck out of here.
This was a long time ago. I just found it funny.
Here.
I was just like,
"Well, what's funny is
to everybody. What's the big deal?"
What's funny is we talked about 2015, how we made that movie.
Yeah.
In the old apartment in Donna when we were on welfare and all that stuff. The movie I made, Zenobia's in it. I was probably talking to Zenobia, and I met her in Teletech. And she acted in one of my movies. Like, I'm always drawing from what I have, There's another girl, Leslie, who acted in our 24-hour film festival.
Oh, yeah. And then you did that for like 24. You had to fuck off for like 24 hours. So that was kind of like.
Yeah, okay. It was an all-nighter. And that was Teletech alumni, too. And Caroline, who was somebody I met at Yerba Cultura. So I'm going out there trying to, catch fish, essentially. But it's never like a predatory kind of way. It's always like, how can I tell stories?
Right. And I feel like I know that's always where your mind is at.
That those memes where like the guy's on the bed and the wife's like, I wonder what he's thinking about.
Yes.
And he's thinking about, is Optimus Prime like the, whatever dumb nerdy shit. It's always cinema. It's always cinema. Compositions, shots, like new things I haven't seen before, or something David Lynch did 20 years ago. Like it's always only going to be that. But so in summer 2016, I got the idea we should just move to Austin because nothing was working out in the Valley. Like
we had the idea the same day, I think.
At the same time, because I remember I asked you, this is going to be crazy. You might not like this. You're going to say, fuck off. I had a feeling it would have been another crazy manic idea.
Uh-huh.
Maybe we should just move to Austin and put this effort that we're putting in Donna. Let's just move to another place that potentially has more upside, more opportunity, therefore more reward. And you said, I thought you'd never ask, or something like, okay, no shit. It was something like, yeah, okay. Yeah. And then by the next day we were making plans, like it was crazy. And so, long story short, we moved to the apartment that we were at for maybe 2 years?
Like 2 years, 2.5 years.
Yeah. And we stayed there in Austin. I'll try to cut to the podcast if I have it somewhere of something that we tried to do, something like this. Yeah. It may have been like episode 8 or 9 on this show, or maybe 5 or 6, where we were talking about our DNA results. I remember.
Okay.
And then we moved into our first starter home.
Yeah.
In 2019.
So I think part of the reason is that obviously we needed more space, but we also asked my mom to move in with us, so it's like adding another person on top of that. And so
5 people, 2 dogs.
Yeah, and it was a 4-bedroom house, nice little house. So everybody had their bedroom, and then you decided you wanted to work out of the garage, which I thought he's gonna regret that.
I was reading old journals, and I was seeing how
summer.
in our Austin apartment, I was seeing how I was already building like strategies on how to rent an office. Do you remember that?
Yes, you were gonna do that.
I was trying to rent an office to basically do what I'm doing right now. Like I didn't have any space, man. I was going nuts. And I will say, in the pandemic, everybody's working from home, including us. And it's hard to work from home and then relax at home.
Yeah.
I like to go away, and then that's where my brain is. Like my brain is on location, and so it could go outside of my comfort zone, which is here at the house. So, but now we have space
Yeah, and
in the house to be creative, and I think that had a lot to do with our decision into aspiring to buy a home.
Yeah, and so we ended up, once the lease was done, we bought this house. And so 5-bedroom house that leaves this room for you to work in, which has worked out a lot because you have a lot of stuff, and it's just a lot of stuff, and it's a mess and it's whatever. I close the door, I don't see it. But to go back to like the question, you like to work with a lot of music and a lot of sound,
a lot of noise.
I
need noise.
You've got like 3 computers and screens and monitors and lights and all this stuff, and so it's like it was never an option to like share a space, right?
Yeah, I don't think we could do that.
But
I don't think I could sit across from you, and
no,
I'm just too noisy. You would never be able to focus. You would never be able to focus, and I would have to be very inconsiderate of your space to even be a part of that. It doesn't work.
It was a good decision, I felt like, to have that extra room for you to work in.
We should make a side by side of my view and the organization and the space, and yours upstairs.
And so upstairs we have like the den or the game room, media room, or whatever it's supposed to be. That's a craft room, and so I have, in another video once it's done, show everybody my workspace. So I have my desk there. It is open, so I mean the kids and the dogs are in and out all the time, which is kind of annoying, but it's fine. I just put my like AirPods in, and then everyone's quiet. But that's usually what I do. Like, I've gotten to the habit of telling everybody, I'm going to go paint, so please don't bother me for an hour. Whatever you need, ask somebody else, or you're going to have to wait. And so then I go and I have it like my desk set up, and then right to the left of me, I have my painting set up. So it's just always ready to go, and I don't have to be, taking anything out or whatever. Which is what I wanted. And I think that's really important to have that physical space for you to do your thing.
Yes, and to answer the question once and for all, I feel like we did,
right,
and we shined a lot of light on it. And if you're still with us, folks, thank you. Just to my last illumination would be, we're able to sense what each other needs because we need those things ourselves. That's the monitor. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
We're able to sense. We know what our needs are, and so we're able to sense the other person's needs. Where it gets tricky is the other person has to be very honest with you and tell you, this is what I need, and the other person has to be respectful and considerate and help them. So I'm lucky in that I wore you down, and no, and I'm just very lucky that you've given me my space and I give you your space, and that works. We also work at different times too. Like you work in the evening, but in the evening I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't fuck with that. Like you rarely see me doing anything in the evening, but in the morning, from 5 a.m. to like 11 are my optimal hours for me to get shit done.
Not me. It takes me a long time to wake up. But also, then I work, and then I got to do my thing right after work. So it's just better for me that way. Because then I feel like I've gotten everything done, and then I can sit down and watch TV. Which is what I usually do. But
we lately, since we finally found shows to sink our teeth into,
yes,
it's become a little treat.
Yes.
To sit down on the couch and watch Netflix. It's been a treat. And
it's nice that, like you were saying, that you like to go to work and then come home, having it 2 different places. I feel like we both have that now. Like, we're both in our spots, and then we can meet at the couch later.
Yes. And that is the new nirvana. Well, we're hitting our time here. This was awesome. If you have any questions for us, feel free to leave them in the comments. You can text me as well if we're tight like that. And something I wanted to say was feel free to support us, support the cause at indiedarlings.net. You can find us on social media. I'm at Knives Monroe and all the things.
I'm at Claricia. So that's
10 letters. Take out your pen and paper right now.
It's CLARRISSIA.
Follow her at Claricia on all the things as well. I'm on TikTok at Knives Monroe, and I've been crushing it. So I've been wanting, I need to make this video as well, just for another time. But like, people who aren't taking TikTok seriously are really going to get left behind. It's YouTube all over again. It's so exciting and so fascinating. So support the cause. If you like, our merch, Claire has an Etsy shop. Incredible, cool, artsy things are on there. Support local small businesses as well, which is another way of saying support your friends. And I look forward to next week when we get to do this again. This was great. It was a free flow. It was awesome, and we're just scratching the surface. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.